All right, so now that we're done with the inspection, appreciate that. Could you guys just tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so we're both born and raised in Delaware. So I was born in Dover, Delaware. She was born in Camden, Delaware, which is just hop, skip, and jump away from each other.
Very
And
cool.
my dad was in the Air Force. He did 24 years, and we were at Dover, Delaware for 24 years and just kind of got stuck there. What about you?
So basically, kind of leading up to what brought us to Jacksonville, I started working for Pro-Spect Inspection Services, 5.5 years ago. Came on in marketing, and then we just grew a lot and had a lot of fun doing it. And then it kind of came to the point where I was like, all right, what do we do now? What's the next step? So the owners of the company, Christy and Wes, they were like, hey, you guys want to open a division? And we're like, sure, let's do it. Mm-hmm. So we talked about it for about a year. My husband was working as an inspector for road construction, actually, for the state. Yeah. Yes. So as a liaison for the state. So we did that. We planned to have him come over and do all the home inspection licensing process, especially through the state of Delaware, is quite extreme. So we went through that, and all aboard, all along getting him on board to join the company so we could open the division. Now, as far as the division goes, we were looking at other places. We looked in Knoxville, Tennessee. We looked in Raleigh, North Carolina. And it just wasn't a good fit. And then we looked in Jacksonville, and it just made all kinds of sense to come down here. Good fit for us and our family, good fit for business. We already have a division down in Polk County, which is in Lakeland, outside of Tampa. Okay. So business licenses and everything were already, squared away, and we have the support. We're not too far away from the executive director down there. His name's Brian. So we're not too far from Brian, and so if he needs help or we need help, we can help each other out. So that's very cool. That's what brought us to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, plus Jacksonville's a big Navy town. Yeah. And I'm a Navy veteran, so it made sense. Very cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I came to Mayport a few times, and we did some weapon unloads and, kind of hung out. We did Fleet Week in Fort Lauderdale. So
that's before you moved.
That was before, yes. That was, like 2007, 2008. Yeah.
Right when the other housing market.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. So that's in a nutshell, that's what brought us here. I was leading a team of people back in Delaware, and it was like, okay, what's the next thing? Challenging ourselves and running our own division and growing it from the ground up, and just, we're happy to be able to do it and serve the area here. And we got something for you.
Now, Pro-Spect, you were telling me, is a huge company. It's what were you telling me? It's like a $5 million company?
Right, yep, about a $5 million company. We've got the main headquarters, like the biggest, where we started was centrally located in Dover, Delaware. Delaware is so small. So for perspective, Delaware, the whole population is that of just Duval County.
Oh, wow.
So we maxed out pretty quick with population. We have a huge market share down there for serving and inspections. And Delaware's mostly surrounded by water. So, we went down to Eastern Shore, Maryland, and then up into Pennsylvania. And then we were like, okay. And then we started getting to the point where we were like, well, let's acquire, other inspection companies. We've coached in inspection communities. So inspection companies that get together and they have these masterminds, and we've served as coaches. So we've met a lot of other inspection leaders. And they, have come to us and said, hey, we like what you guys are doing. I'm tired. I don't want to be in a business anymore. Would you guys like to, purchase the company? So
cool.
We've done 2 acquisitions. One of those, a big one up in Poconos. And so our sister company, the name is Pro-Spect. They're wonderful up there. And then we've done 2 plants. So 2 acquisitions and 2 plants. And,
interesting.
Yep. So we've got a huge team. And like I said, we're a big company, but the benefit to the people and the residents of Jacksonville is that we have those systems in place that big companies have. But because we're a small division, we're able to give that nice local feel.
Yeah, and if you need help, there's always help there available.
Yep. We have flown people down here
to
help us do inspections. Well, you guys drove. That counts too, right?
Yeah.
One drove, one flew.
Yeah, somebody asked, and we use Marco Polo, which is kind of like a voice chat.
Yeah.
And somebody asked, well, what's the furthest you've ever driven for an inspection? I'm like, 13 hours.
Yeah, that's a 13-hour drive, yeah.
And that was before like our official launch date, and we were still in transition. But
very cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're happy to have you in Florida. That's pretty awesome. I mean, you guys kind of blended in pretty quick. I couldn't tell you guys were from a different state.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment. Yeah.
I guess let's talk a little bit about the types of inspections that you guys do, what they mean. You know, you got the 4-point, WDO, wind mitigation, etc. You were telling me about the stucco inspection, which is the invasive. Yeah. Can you guys dive into that a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so basically we went over the standard home inspection. So there's many different sub-inspections that we can do to kind of offer a better, I guess just offer more knowledge to our clients. So we do offer the stucco inspections. So, you know, that is us drilling in through the stucco and taking moisture readings in the wood behind the stucco. Okay. As well as we do irrigation, pools, spas, sewer scopes. Gosh, we do it all. I mean,
sewer scopes is when you just feed a camera into the sewer, kind of see if there's any cracks or anything like that.
Yeah, any cracks, tree roots growing through it. Make sure that it has the right pitch on it, so the water is actually flowing to where it's got to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do WDO inspections as well, and that one we partner with another company, so we work within their licensing. It's just a part of the legal process with the state of Florida. So we are able to offer WDO inspections as well. We have 4-point wind mit.
Which those are your insurance inspections.
Yeah.
You know, 4 points are more required to get.
What's on 4-point and wind mitigation?
So the difference between the two, between a home inspection and a 4-point inspection, is a 4-point inspection. You're really just going and looking at the 4 major components of the house. So you're going to be looking at your roof, your HVAC system, water heater, plumbing, and then also your electrical.
Okay.
So you're just not getting as detailed as an inspection. So we're not going, you know. I'll still go in, if there's a crawl space, I'll still go in the crawl space and look at the plumbing, but you're not getting as detailed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to each room, testing the windows, outlets, stuff like that. Your wind mitigation is more for discounts through your insurance company. They want to make sure that it can withhold high winds in Florida. So it's pretty much the same. You're walking the roof, you're checking the roofing material. The roof geometry, you're checking the wind rating on the windows, impact rating on the windows, the doors, roof to deck attachments, make sure that the roof and wall attachments are there, and all of that kind of adds up to really for the client discounts on their insurance premiums.
There's certain things that you can and cannot do, as you were talking about while we're walking the house. You can't move certain things, you can't get at the walls. What type of situations that would you come across where that would be an issue?
There's going to be evidence that while you can't see behind, like a leak, for instance, you might not be able to see behind the wall to see even necessarily where the leak is coming from. But there's going to be some sort of evidence at some point that yes, there's a leak going on. There's going to be something, and the inspectors are trained to look for those little tiny details and use the tools like the moisture meters and thermal imaging cameras and all that.
Yeah, that's another thing that you can add on is thermal imaging too. So there is suspectively we could possibly use that as well.
Okay, and so as long as it's not obstructed with anything, then you can.
So like we're not pulling out the fridge or the stoves and looking behind those and pulling the cabinets down and looking behind those and stuff.
Yeah, and the number one reason for that is that it's not our property.
Right.
Like we can't touch it.
It's liability.
Right, it is a liability. It's somebody that doesn't belong to the person buying the house. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the person who owns the house.
Right.
So we're not going to mess with their stuff. Another reason we don't pick up their furniture and move it. So sometimes the sellers are there and they'll move stuff.
Yeah, they'll move stuff around too.
Yeah, which is great. But there is just for a quick story time, just for an example, there was a detached garage on the property and they had a ton of stored items like boxes and everything. There was even like a motorcycle or something. So we went out, we did the home inspection, did the detached garage as part of it, and we were like, hey, like, we can't see behind all of this stuff. If you go ahead and, move the stuff, we can come back out. And then, no, it's okay. They just didn't do that. So then it comes to the final walkthrough day, and there is mud tracks from termites all up and down those walls behind all the stored items. And like the sellers didn't know that was there until they moved the items.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those examples where stored items is like, it's best to just get them out of there, just because now it was the day of the final walkthrough, the day before settlement, and there was a whole like pause on the closing at this point because of that.
So it's up to the realtors to make sure the stuff was out of the way, to talk to the listing agent and make sure that you got a clear path and you can inspect the items.
Right, it's just all a part of the education process when you're sitting down and preparing the sellers and the buyers for what to expect during inspection.
And another note to touch on and that kind of relates to that is, not only are we not moving stuff, we're not turning water valves on.
Yeah.
We're not going to flip breakers and the electric panel on just because there's always a reason something's turned off.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, there's a reason why that valve was shut. And we would turn it on, and all of a sudden we find the reason why.
And there's been times where we've reached out to like the agents or the seller and asked, hey, do we have permission to turn this on? Or can you send somebody out to turn this on?
Right. And if we get permission, it's all good.
Yeah. I did have a story one time, the water was turned off on a property I did. And it was a flipped house. So I called the agents. They sent the builder out. Builder came out, turned the water on at the well pump, and then he left. And he was like, here's my phone number if you need me. And I was like, okay. So I was doing the inspection, and I was in one of the bathrooms, and I could hear water running, but nothing, like none of the faucets and stuff were on. And I was like, something's not right. So I went underneath the crawl space, and there was a water main busted.
Oh, man.
So I went and turned the water off real quick. That's the only time I was like, I'm going to turn this valve. And then I called the guy, and he was like, oh, man, that's got to be why then.
Yeah. So when you get a home inspection, or you're going to get it on a like cloud-based form per se. So you're going to go click a link. Once you get the inspection report, you're going to click a link, and that takes you to the internet, and then it's going to take you through a whole series of all the information. You're going to have video. There's going to be photo. The video also has audio. The summary and everything is going to be right at the top, so that way you don't have to thumb through the whole thing to see, what the major and the minor items were or anything like that. So that's and just for education purposes, our reports can be 50, 60 pages, but that's because it doesn't mean that there's like a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a lot of things found, but the video and the photos take up a lot of pages. So just don't get overwhelmed.
So we categorize our defects as a major and minor. Those are the two that we're going to give you. Major items, it doesn't mean it's catastrophic. It just means we recommend a licensed professional come out and do evaluation and repairs on it. Your minor items are very typical household items that you can take care of over time. It's like a honey-do list.
Yeah.
We will throw in like informational notes as well. I did, like we were talking about during the inspection walkthrough, if a house was built before GFCIs were required, I'm going to still write a note saying that this house is built and it wasn't code at that time, but we do highly recommend you to update it.
Right.
So
a good example of like a major, something that we would write up as a major that is not necessarily like a major cost or anything, is the seal around a dishwasher. So that could be a major if it's leaking at all. So because that ends up being a big problem if it's not addressed, as soon as possible. So major doesn't always mean major money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always good to talk to a professional, obviously, if something comes up.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's if something's not functioning the way it should, or it's a safety concern.
The best way to really kind of explain what home inspectors do is like we're like the general practitioner of a home. So we're like just like you're going to your general doctor. You're like, hey, like when I'm running, I feel like my heart's kind of like palpitating a little bit. They're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna look at you, overall and see what's going on. But what they're gonna end up doing is referring you to a cardiologist who's a specialist. So that's really similar to what we do.
Yeah, it's a very cool analogy. I like that.
Yep.
How long does it usually take to get the report back for the inspection?
So typically, I'm done with the report when I leave the house.
Really?
So what I'll do is, so general home inspection will last about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what ancillary services, like if you add a 4-point wind mitigation. So about hour and a half, 2 hours for that, and then I have everything I need by the time I leave. I like to sit in the truck before I leave, like drive away. I just want to make sure I have all my pictures, and to make sure the write-ups make sense, and then I submit it, and it'll be in your email within an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
As long as let's say there's cell phone issues or something, that's fine. But you're going to get the report the same day, which is important during, and as a realtor, you know this, Sam, that the 5 to 10 days is like, that's like hardly any time to get an inspection in and then get any specialist in that need to look at it and wait for everybody to get their reports and all that too. That is really time is of the essence, which is why we made sure to set up our systems and our scheduling in a way that we can get people in and on our schedule, inspections completed within 48 hours.
Wow.
That, except for, 48 business hours, but that's just excluding Sunday because we don't do inspections on Sundays.
Okay. Why do you think an inspection is important? I mean, obviously we kind of covered like what can happen, what can go wrong. Is there anything else you want to add to it?
Yeah, for builders in particular, builders or flippers or anybody, what happens is they end up subcontracting out a lot of work.
And I'm sorry not to interrupt you. And new construction as well.
Yes, new, especially new
because people think new home, I don't need inspection.
Especially new construction. You would be if you go on our TikTok, you'll see some new construction finds. For like, it blows my mind, but like when we're getting a phone call on the 11th month because the builder did a 1-year home warranty, and they're like, oh, I didn't get an inspection when I bought the house, but like I'm noticing some stuff. Can you come out? And then that way the builder can be responsible for fixing it because I have this 1-year warranty.
Yeah.
And we discovered they haven't had insulation in their attic for almost a year.
Jeez.
It's wild. Yeah. But it's really, it comes down to the builder is like, you have like your superintendent who's in charge of like probably a whole community.
Yeah, stuff gets overlooked.
Yes, and there's so many subcontractors doing this, doing that, and also the biggest thing I think is that they get so used to looking at so many properties that it's like, and they're all very, pretty much similar. So they kind of go almost like nose blind to certain things that we can catch. So.
Yeah, it's like shopping for cologne. Eventually, just all smell the same to you.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah. So it's there are some really big developers that have noticed that, and it's costing them a lot of money in the long run. So what they're doing is they have contracted with us to do their like pre-occupancy inspections.
That's very cool.
And then also sometimes they'll do phase inspections, like come out, check the foundation, pre-drywall, things like that as well. So they do that because it saves them money in the long run because they understand, man, we're missing stuff and our clients are not happy with us.
Yeah.
So, and then a year's time, that small problem turned into a big issue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's better to hold the subcontractor liable for the negligence than them having to come out of their pockets and fix it later.
I've seen homes, a couple of homes I've seen shower tile being put on sheetrock.
Yeah, that's nice.
No moisture barrier. Just I mean, obviously it doesn't matter. You shouldn't put it on sheetrock, but you could just peel it off with your hands. So that's so true. It's so important to see those things. And we've covered as far as like you guys as a company. Is there anything else you want to add to the part, like what sets you apart from other inspection companies?
I really think that, and it's not like I've had a bunch of home inspections from other companies, so I don't know, and we really kind of stay in our own lane, but our focus, I think what sets us apart is more of we do focus on the client experience as well, over communication sometimes, kind of like how like a dentist office does, like texting and emailing. Everybody's in the loop at all times.
That's awesome.
We handle a lot of the legwork. We want it to be more of an experience, which is why we bring chairs to vacant homes so our clients and agents have somewhere to sit. That's why we bring doormats that say Pro-Spect welcomes you home. That's why we bring crowns and paper coloring pages for kids if kids are there. So there's just like little things that we do that are very immediate that does help with the client experience overall. We really want to wow our people.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. And then any crazy or memorable inspections that you remember?
Oh gosh, yeah. So my last inspection in Delaware was probably the worst house I've ever seen an inspection done on. I walked into the house, and this kind of sets how bad this house was. But I walked in and I called my lead and I said, "Hey, can I just major the whole house?" And he was like, "Well, no." I mean, obviously it was a joke.
Yeah,
I know by the time I got into the basement, it was like a basement crawl space combo. I had at least 30 major items, and not even counting the wood destroying organisms. Like it was just that bad. And I don't know if, I haven't seen them here, but in the crawl spaces in Delaware, they're just so damp and humid.
Yeah.
They're just like mold. And there was they had these crickets, and I don't even really know the official name, but I would call them like the alien crickets, because they're just like the creepiest looking things ever. And if you get next to them, like they all start jumping and then peg off of you, and it's like, and
that happened to you?
Yeah, in that house. And I was like, I don't know what it is. There's like certain bugs that really get me, and I'm not really a squeamish guy. Like cockroaches, like these palmetto bugs that are here, that gets me. But those crickets, after that, I was like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, our cockroaches, they're no steroids comparison to, you know.
Yeah. I went at a house earlier in the garage, and I looked over at it. I think we made eye contact.
Yeah.
And I was
a mutual understanding.
Yeah. I was like, you stay up there and I'll stay down here, and we'll just kind of mind our businesses. And then I like said bye when I closed the door.
Yeah.
You know?
Gosh, I was thinking also about, I haven't done any inspections, I'm not an inspector, but I get to hear all the stories. There was a vapor barrier in a crawl space, and it was like, army crawl. You have this much room.
Oh, man.
And
you got to get in there regardless, huh?
Yeah.
And then underneath, as long as you can fit through the entrance, then
It's got to be safe.
Yeah, it does have to be safe. But under this vapor barrier, it was like an infestation of mice. You could just see them crawling underneath the vapor, and he's like, army crawling.
Like,
this is so disgusting.
Yeah, he was sending a video, and he was crawling through this crawl space, and he's like, "Oh, just squished one."
Another one, we hear the craziest ones, the ones that really make you go, "What?" are the new construction fines, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like...
Just because new construction, right?
Right, that's why. So one of our inspectors, Jonathan, he did a pre-drywall inspection, and this couple was really smart. They ordered phase inspections with us. So they did foundation, pre-drywall, and then once the drywall went up and the house was like almost ready to be occupied. So he was doing the inspection, and you could literally see daylight from the inside because the sheathing and like the frame wasn't connected. And I was like, oh, that's a major.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a tolerance when it comes to that. It's like an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, but it was a couple inches.
Oh yeah, it was easily a couple of inches.
And they would have just put siding and stuff right over it.
Yeah, they just would have covered it. They never would have fixed that if he had not done that pre-drywall.
And they were like, yeah, let's just hope for the best.
Yeah, good luck.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. A lot of people like go wow when you tell them about the new construction inspections and what people find.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that kind of wraps this up. Would you tell folks how to find you, where to contact you, what to call, or?
Yeah, our Florida division. I mean, we're on all the social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok's where we put our fun stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's labeled at Inspecting Jacksonville. Our website is pro-spect.fl.com. Good phone number 863-999-0002. So just Google us. We're right on there. We'll pop up. Mm-hmm. You can see our reviews and all that stuff too. And if you wanted to search our other divisions, they're in Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Lakeland. So
you guys are all over.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was fun.
Thanks.
And I guess till next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay.